All right, here we go. Today we have the most feared white boy in hip-hop, a title I previously had for many, many years. 1090 Jake, welcome to VladTV.
Appreciate you.
Okay, so, you made a lot of headlines, in the past year, a lot of stuff that you've brought up and exposed and so forth, but it's your first time here. I want to start in the very beginning. So, you were born in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Okay, Maiden? Massachusetts?
Malden.
Sorry. Malden, Massachusetts. But then you were raised in Tampa, Florida?
Yeah.
Okay, so what year did you move over?
I moved down to Florida when I was 13.
Oh, okay. So your first 13 or so years was spent in Massachusetts.
Yeah, I was in Mass. I was bouncing all over. I was born in Malden, but I only lived there for 1 year, and that was 7th grade. So I moved all around in Mass, and then I went down to Florida.
Okay, why'd you go to Florida?
Father was like, I'm good. Sent me with my aunt. She was the only one that wanted to take me in.
Okay.
So it was one of them situations.
Okay, so you were living with your dad originally?
I was living with my mother and then left her house, went to my father's. It didn't work out there, and then went to my aunt's.
Okay, at that point, were you getting in trouble at all in Florida? I'm sorry, in Massachusetts?
In Mass, I mean, not so much legally, but I was just a badass kid, and I was dealing with shit with my parents at the same time, because we didn't really have a good relationship. So by the time I went to my father's, he had a new girlfriend. She didn't like me. She got me out of the picture.
Okay. What's your nationality, by the way?
I'm white, Irish and Italian.
Irish and Italian. Got it. So then you went to Tampa.
Yeah.
Okay, and who were you living with there at that point?
Well, when I first went to Florida, I was in Port Charlotte with my grandmother, which is kind of near Sarasota. And then a year after that, I moved in with my aunt in Tampa.
Okay, so now you're living in Florida. At that point, do you start to get into some trouble?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was the first few steps of this?
The second I got down to Florida, I found out everybody's got a gun.
Okay.
So it was as simple as just getting around people, there's shit everywhere. I was already a pissed off teenager. And I sought out bad shit. I don't know if it was an attention thing when I was that age, but I was doing bad shit, finding other people that were doing the same thing, and we kind of just got together and took off. But arrest-wise, my freshman year in high school, they were trying to figure out what I was doing because they were saying I was selling ecstasy and guns inside of the school. Never got caught, though. It wasn't until 16 when I went to juvie in Tampa.
Okay, because I had read that you started going to YA around 14. No, 16.
No, we don't even have YA.
Okay.
We got YO.
YO.
All right, so the confusing thing about the YOs that everybody gets mixed up. In the state of Florida, YOs is 14 to 24.
Right.
But it's state prison.
Okay.
So I went to state prison when I was 18.
Got it.
As far as the actual juvenile, which would be the Department of Juvenile Justice.
Got it.
It was either 16 or 17 when I first went in there.
Okay, what'd you go in for a 16?
I think it was a firearm, possession of a stolen firearm. They were trying to link me to an armed burglary. So I got hit with the possession of a stolen firearm, armed burglary, and I ended up beating the case because my co-defendant more or less took the rap in the case.
Okay, and what was that situation around? What exactly happened with it?
A house got hit, and some guns got taken from the house.
Okay.
So they were trying to say, because I ended up actually getting caught with the gun in a different situation. So we were in an area, I was shooting the gun off, and the police came to my friend's house. We're inside of the house. They come in, they're trying to figure out what the fuck just happened because the gun just got dumped on the corner on 12th and Yukon in Sulphur Springs, which is one of the hoods in Tampa. So they're like, all right, we got somebody shooting, da-da-da. They said they went in this house. They bring us outside. He's on Section 8, his mother, whatever. And they got a whole bunch of shit in the house because she's an addict, this, that, and the third. So they take us outside, and they're asking, where's the gun, where's the gun? She's begging him, she's crying, begging him to, tell them what you know, whatever, whatever. And then he's looking at me because it was my shit. So I more or less told them it's my gun. They're like, where is it? I kept repeating, it's my gun. They're like, look, if you tell us where it is, I already know they're bullshitting. So I told them where the gun is inside of the house. They go and get the gun. They ask me where I got it. I tell them a bando, a couple streets up, whatever. So they say they're going to take it for what it is. They took us down to a little investigation shit or whatever. They talked to all three of us. They said one of my friends was saying he saw me with the gun earlier that day, but they ended up releasing us, brought us back to the house, let us go, and then later on they put charges on us.
Okay, because at 18, there was a plea deal where you had 4 felonies. Is that same thing, or is that
No,
something else?
Nah, this was juvenile.
Okay, so this case that you got caught with the gun, what happened with that?
So I never actually got arrested in that incident because discharging a firearm in public is a misdemeanor. It's not that big of a deal. But then again, the gun wasn't reported stolen at that time. So I ended up, my aunt put me into a program. I had to go into, it was like a drug and behavior type program in Orlando. So I was in there. During that time, the warrant went out for the armed burglary and possession of a stolen firearm because it was reported stolen. My friend got picked up. I escaped the program, ran out. They had like, basically, it's one door and then another door. They're supposed to both stay locked at the same time. A guest was coming in while staff had the other one open. I shot out. So I run out. I get picked up by the police. I'm thinking they're going to take me back to the program. And they're like, no, you got a warrant out of Tampa. So I end up going to the juvenile detention center in Orlando, transferred over to Tampa, and I ended up beating the case after 21 days.
Okay, and then there was the case in 2012 where ultimately you pled guilty to 4 felonies.
Yeah.
So what was that about?
I knew somebody through my aunt who wanted to be like a role model at that time in my life. And he owned a crazy amount of guns. He even took me to the gun range before. This was before I was a convicted felon. I decided that I'm going to hit his house. Just on some grimy shit, and we did. So we ended up going in there, grabbing what we grabbed, and what ended up happening was like maybe a week or 2 weeks later, I get caught with the gun in the same neighborhood I got caught with the other one. So they grabbed me with the gun. They tried to say when I got picked up that we were breaking into a car, and that was like the excuse to search us, but we never did. So I got arrested on burglary of a conveyance and carrying a concealed firearm. I go to jail, and then it's like however much time passes, investigators come to see me. So I get a call out, they take me out. I'm thinking I'm going to see the nurses or whatever, or my lawyer, because it's all in the same area in Hillsborough County. So when I go in the room, it's 2 detectives. They're like, all right, we want to find out what happened with your uncle. I'm like, what uncle? I don't have an uncle down here. We want to find out what happened with this situation. You can either help us or tell us to fuck off. I told them to fuck off. The interview ends. The next day, I got hit with like 16 new charges. So armed burglary, 15 counts, grant theft firearm. It was just a whole grant theft 5,000 to 10,000. Long list of shit. They only caught me with one gun. So I ended up only getting convicted on carrying a concealed firearm, grant theft of a firearm, grand theft, and then there was one more. It's not coming to my head right now.
Right, because you had 19 total felonies at one point?
Yeah. Because they
19
hit
charges.
me. They hit me
Yeah.
with every single gun,
Okay.
but they couldn't get me with them. They only had the one that they found on me.
Right, because you were potentially facing life in prison had
Yeah.
you been convicted on the more serious ones, right?
Well, not even the gun charges, but the armed burglary charge is punishable by life in Florida.
Okay. How scared were you as an 18-year-old to be facing life at that point?
I didn't feel like I was gonna get life because I was talking to the older dudes in the county, but a lot of them were saying like you could get like probably like 10 or something like that. But honestly, waking up is kind of like a dream. Like you don't really know what's gonna happen. I was never facing time like that before. And then in the county, you're not really worried about that until you go into the courtroom because you're dealing with whatever's going on in the dorm that you're in. You know, like you're fighting in there, you're this, that, and the third. So it's like, I wasn't really too worried. And it was my first felony conviction. So I'm thinking I'm going to be all right. They're telling me about the YO camps, but they're telling me you don't want to go to YO. Just whatever you do, make sure they sign you off as an adult and they don't sentence you to a YO.
What's the problem with YOs?
It's fucking gladiator school.
Gladiator school.
Yeah, shit's crazy.
Okay, so eventually you got it down to 4 felonies.
Yeah,
And you got a plea deal with, was it 36 months?
yeah.
Okay. So that's 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's state, so you potentially could do half of that, right?
Nah,
Or no?
Florida's 85%.
85. Oh, really? I thought that was more of a federal thing.
We got one of the more strictest
Uh-huh.
states.
Okay, so you're looking at 2.5 years, 2.75 years.
Minus the 6 months I got time served in the county.
Okay. When you got that plea deal, were you relieved or was like, damn, I'm about to lose my teenage years right now?
Bro, it was a mix of both. I didn't look at it like teenage years. I was just like, you know, I'm glad it's over. But at the same time, I know I'm about to experience some shit because everybody's telling me, you know what I mean? Like when I was in the courtroom and they told me, look, we're going to give you this plea because the first offer I think was like 4 or 4.5. Then they said 3 years. I took the 3. So I was looking over at my aunt, my grandmother. I'm like, yo, I got 3. They think I'm throwing up blood. I'm like, yo, I got 3. And I was smiling in the courtroom, you know what I mean? I was happy it's gonna be over with and whatever. Then I got back to the dorm and they're like, bro, they still might, reclassify you as a YO. So now I got all the older guys telling me like, yo, this is what you need to do when you get there. This is how you need to act. And it's just that whole thing of now this is what I'm gonna get into. That was kind of making me a little bit more nervous because you don't know what to expect until you get in there.
So did you get sent to YO or regular adult prison?
So I was sentenced as an adult, but I was reclassified in the prison reception center as a YO. So there was one other kid that was my age with me, and he had already been to prison. So when he walked up, because, we're all butt-ass naked and shit, and you get your boxers on and you walk up and they fucking take your height, they either give you a hat or they don't. They didn't give him a hat. I walked up, they gave me a red hat. When they gave me that hat, everybody that's in like this, it's a big cell where they just fit everybody in their boxes. The second they gave me the hat, everybody was like, and I just saw their reaction. I'm like, fuck.
So that's the YO hat?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got to wear hats. And then the whole atmosphere just changed once I got the hat.
Okay. So at 18, you get sent to YO?
Yeah.
All right. And there was a picture you used for a while because your face got slashed at age 19.
Yeah.
So that was a year into your sentence.
Yeah.
So what happened with that?
So I had cut a kid at the first prison that I was at. And that was the first violent interaction besides fighting that I had while I was inside of prison. The very next place that I went to, I ran into a kid from the first prison who was blood. I personally folded him in the dorm that we were in. He wasn't banging anything. A Crip broke his nose. He put a brick into a canteen bag, hit him in the face with it, smashed his shit. He was at a different reception center. So I get to this reception center, I see him. The GDs were the ones that approached me. So they're like, oh, we're tied flags. I'm like, no, the fuck we're not. Who the fuck said that? Oh, nah, we're on this shit over here, da-da-da. Your brother's in the cell right there. So he comes out with a fucking nose cast on. I'm like, I folded him. He not blood. So they look confused. He sees me. He looks spooked. More or less what happened was this is I Block in Lake Butler. It's one of the most treacherous reception centers in Florida. The COs are killing shit, allegedly burying bodies under the buildings and building buildings over the bodies. So it's fucked up over here. And I'm in I Block, which is one of the oldest dorms there. It's got the original cells. It looks like an old movie. Somebody was on the other side who was supposed to be the head blood. He comes over to my cell. We start arguing because he's defending dude without even knowing the history of him getting folded and fucked up and everything else. So he yells out, hey, I got $50 in his head right now talking about me. So I yell out, who gonna take it? Nobody says nothing. Now, mind you, at the last prison I was at, we got to march like it's the military. We got to hip, hype, all that shit. The boots that they gave me were like size 9s. I'm 11 and a half. So my 2 big toes were ingrown to the point that I couldn't walk. Bleeding, pussing, mad nasty. My socks stuck to the skin. So I can't really move while this whole shit's happening. So he puts the hit out. The next morning when we're going to chow, I got a razor and everything. So I'm ready for whatever. I'm coming down the stairs. All the GDs are in front of me. They're like 10 deep. And there was some other people behind me. I didn't see the kid come out of his cell, so I didn't know where he was at. I start coming down the stairs. I just feel a swipe. So I felt air inside of my face where I've never felt it before. So I knew something was up. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I touched my face. What the fuck? Pull the razor out. I turn around. I see him. He was 2 people behind me. So he reached up and cut me. It was a 7-inch slash. But then he runs into the CO's booth. He ended up running in there and telling the COs, yo, somebody just got cut. While he's doing that, I'm fucking bleeding everywhere. I come down the stairs, come out, and I get behind a pillar. Now, there was a CO at the bottom of the stairs, but I put my hat, you got to put the hat on before you go outside. I put the hat on and covered my face up so he didn't see none of the blood, even though shit was all over the stairs. So I go out, I'm hiding behind a pillar. I'm waiting for him to come out so I can pop him as soon as he comes out. He walks out with 2 COs looking for who got cut. So at that point, I can't run. I'm not going to be able to chase him. If I attempt to chase him, I'm pretty much just telling on who cut me. So I had to take it to the chin. I threw the razor that I had, and I walked right up into the chow hall line, bleeding until they pulled me out of the line.
How many stitches?
I didn't get any stitches.
You got a 7-inch cut with no stitches?
Yeah, they fucking hot glued my face.
Oh, they use glue.
I don't know what like medical glue it was,
Okay.
but it was a hot glue. So my cut is only deep right here. Like the scar is only right here. The rest of it was pretty much superficial because he cut me from behind somebody, so he didn't even like get me good. He was scary himself. But they put me in the medical wing and they gave me a fucking diaper because there's like in this specific spot, it's a reception and medical. So in the back, they have all the old people that are like dying and shit. So one of the nurses gave me a diaper and had me sitting in the hallway with the guy that bags the bodies when these old people die. So I'm just holding my shit. And he's like, yo, what happened? I got cut. I showed him. He's like, damn, like, is it bad? Because there's no mirrors that I can look at it. He's like, it ain't good. And then they hot glued my shit. They take me to confinement and they bring me into the captain's office and then they beat me in the captain's office because I wouldn't tell them who cut me.
Okay, but you know who cut you.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever run into each other afterwards?
My boy cut him with a box cutter, opened his shit up.
Okay. So you got your revenge.
In a sense. Yeah.
How did you feel when you found out that he got cut himself?
Oh, I fucking celebrated. Made a little cake with a honey bun and cookies and yeah.
Okay. So at that time, were you a blood?
Yeah.
Okay, and when did you actually become that?
That was on the street, so like 16, 17.
Okay, and was there a lot of bloods in Florida during that time?
I don't know about the whole Florida because I was really only in Tampa, but where I was at, yeah, that was really like the only thing that I was around. It's not like you could pick from this gang and that gang. Where I was at, it was just mad bloods. So I kind of naturally went into that space, ended up getting brought over to specific block, and it went how it went.
Okay, and the Bloods are typically a black gang.
Yeah.
You know, yes, you get some exceptions here and there, but 90-something% of them are all black.
Yeah.
You're white. So how did that work out?
People respect violence. So it's kind of like I feel like I had to do more than a lot of other people were doing. The specific person that I met, though, that brought me into the situation was mixed. So he wasn't really tripping off the race shit. So on the street, I never dealt with a racial issue until I went to county. And that's when I started meeting people that are like 30, 40 that are like, nah, you can't, ain't no white bloods.
Mm-hmm.
But I already had it in my mind, I'm official. So it's like, all right, what are we going to do? Fight, stab, what?
Okay. Were you jumped in when you originally joined?
Yeah, I got my ass whooped.
No problem.
I don't want to get into all the specifics, but
Fair enough. Fair enough. Did you get hurt?
No, I wasn't hurt.
Okay. They just hit you a few times and...
Yeah, well, I the first person that I hit, I split his shit.
Okay.
So that kind of started something where I ended up getting flipped a little bit worse because the person that I hit, I don't know, they just fucking... I always had size on me, you know what I mean? So...
Okay, so you're in the prison system and you're a blood, but you're a white blood, so there is that whole situation.
Yeah.
And there were certain people in prison that really just didn't accept it, you're saying?
In the county, I met one that was kind of tripping off the shit, but everyone else was accepting, so he didn't really have a fucking choice. In the YO, it doesn't matter. In the YO, because it's 14 to 24, so anybody is fucking... You got white Zoes, which is a strictly Haitian gang. You got black Latin Kings. You got all types of different shit. So in the YOs, it's a little bit more loose. Once you go to the adult prisons, you really don't hear about white bloods at all. You might see white Crips, white GDs. White bloods usually don't exist.
Well, right, because in the prison system, isn't it usually just racially divided?
Not in Florida.
Really?
Florida's like the Grand Theft Auto of prisons. It's like anything fucking goes.
Anything goes.
Yeah, shit's we don't even have white gangs.
So there's no...
There's nothing for white boys. We
Really?
got Unforgiven, the fake Nazis and shit, because we don't have Aryan Brotherhood. We don't have those type of
There's no
white...
Aryans out there?
Nah, not in Florida. They're not sanctioned. So the only white gang is the Unforgiven, and they get like zero respect in the chain gang.
Okay, because there's not a lot of them?
They just get the leftovers. Like they're not, if you walked in there and they're not gonna, what's up, brother, and embrace you and give you fucking all your shit. No, they're gonna wait until you get ran down on by somebody. The blacks are gonna get at you. The Spanish are gonna someone's gonna get at you. They're gonna see if you make it through that. And then they're gonna be like, hey, you held it down, brother. Come over here. And that's how they do this shit.
Okay, and that wasn't the only violent situation that you had. You got your head split open at one point by like a brick?
Yeah, I got fired up. So he had a brick and a sock, and he swung it over my head and got me in the back of the head. And the same kid that cut me, he ended up cutting him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody that hit me got hit. I didn't personally get to get at these people, but it got done either way.
Okay. You know, a lot of times in prison, there's the whole rape aspect of it. Did you see that firsthand?
I didn't see it, but it was going on.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't. It's not in the sense of what people think. This is why people were scared of the youth offender prisons. So people can Google it because people don't like to believe me until they start Googling it. We have what's called a TOH, which is the test of hot. When you go to the YOs, you're going to get TOH. And this could be you getting jumped and beat up, which really isn't a TOH. Or we would take, you know, the chain link fences, we break off a piece of fence, straighten it out into a poker, sharpen it up. You're getting held down and poked up in your ribs, your legs, your ass cheeks, your feet, so that you can't get up and do nothing afterwards. You're getting hit like 200, 300 times. They're relentlessly stabbing you with this poker. Now, they're not going all the way in, but just enough that you feel it because they want to extort you. You're going to break it off. The second you say you're going to break it off, it's done.
What does that mean, break it?
That means you paying rent. You got to pay to stay here. You know what I mean? So your ID card with your name and all that shit in your picture, that's what you swipe at the canteen line. So people are getting ran down on for shit like that. And it was bad. One of the spots I was at, they're trying to boil your dick and nuts in water. But the whole rape thing was the broomsticks. You had kids getting fucked with broomsticks. It was more so a fear factor. Somebody would get held down, get stripped. Now their pants are off, their dick's out, they're nervous. They ain't never been like this before in a situation like this with 8 people fucking face tats. Like, cause these kids are young as fuck, but they look crazy and they look older. And they take out a broomstick and a lot of people will break it off just like that. Hey, yo, you got that, I'm gonna pay. There were some kids that didn't care and they still went through with it. And some kids were getting their intestines blown out because 14 inches of a fucking broomstick's getting put in their ass. Ugh. And there's a lot of cases like this of the shit happening at the different prisons that I was at. So you had kids getting tortured and fucking, you know, you had one kid, he ended up suing. I think he won like, I don't know, maybe like 100,000, some shit.
That is not worth it.
Not at all.
that 100,000 is.
But they were getting damaged, and I mean the place that I got cut at, Lake Butler, that reception medical, the COs put a hit on one kid because he had sex charges. So the COs are like, they brought him in the dorm. Yo, we got a baby fucker. He got hit with a broomstick. He's on a shit bag for the rest of his life.
Stay out of jail, kids.
Yeah,
stay out of jail.
That was
Y'all
like,
don't want this.
That was more so. What was going on in the YOs, in the adult prisons, it's not really, I mean, you could say it's rape because it's not consensual, but motherfuckers is getting scared out of their ass. Like, they getting ran down on, knife put to their neck, and they get fucked like that. And they ended up giving it up, doing their eyebrows. They become a whole, we call them boys. Boys, sissies, punks. You see them with the tight shorts on and all that shit. They transform into a different person.
Okay.
That's just, Florida's a fucked up place.
Crazy. No, I mean, I used to always say, I watched the movie American Me. You seen it?
Yeah.
The rape scene, you know, with the Mexicans and the Italian guy.
Yeah.
That scene right there made me never want to go to prison. Right there. I saw that and said, no thanks.
Yeah, see, I thought that type of shit was fake. Because then I always heard the rumors behind the movie how people got killed.
People got killed over that.
Behind that shit because it wasn't true.
Well, not because of that scene.
Yeah. Oh, wasn't that one?
No, it was because they showed the leader of the Mexican mafia getting raped in the youth authority.
Okay.
Remember when he first got there?
Yeah.
There was a dude that was going around, and then remember he killed the guy that raped him?
Yeah.
That right there. Because I remember Danny Trejo was a guest on my show, and he was affiliated with the Mexican mafia.
I think I watched it.
Yeah. So
I've been watching you for a minute.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You really legendary in this shit. I don't know if enough people tell you, but.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I try. But yeah, but he talked about that whole situation. Yeah. And apparently that never even happened. So the fact that he put that scene in there to try to make it a little more graphic.
The repercussions.
A bunch of people died over it.
Yeah.
A bunch of people. And there was actually a hit on Edward James Olmos for a long time. He had to carry a gun and, you know, there was money on his head.
And from what I understand, some of the people featured in that movie, like I think like got killed because of them being in that movie.
4 out here and about, I think 6 in prison.
6 people got killed over American Me.
Yeah, probably about
just being
8.
part of it.
Yeah. But, and it was funny because I remember Donald Garcia, another Mexican mafia that got out and turned Christian, just straight out said, you know, they were talking about no, and he go, yeah, that falls on you, Eddie. You know, so
okay.
So you've got to be the power of cinema, you got to be really careful.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. And I don't mean, am I offending somebody? No, you just got to be real careful about telling the truth. Okay, the leader of the Mexican mafia was never raped.
But yeah, no, but that scene with the, I don't know if that scene with the Italian guy, with the mafia Italian guy happened where they stuck a knife up his ass, but really just all the rape shit in there made me just say, nah, man, I'm good. I'll stick to women.
Yeah, nah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, like it aside from the broomstick shit, it wasn't that common in the YOs, but I ended up getting my YO snatched after I got hit with the brick because they said I was involved in a gang war. And after that, they sent me to adult prison. And my first adult prison was Appalachia CI, which is known as Gay CI. And that's where I really saw like the booty bandits, these big ass dudes that walk around with 2-3 white boys behind them. And that's where shit's different, bro. Cause I was closed custody, which is the equivalent of max custody. So I was closed. So even though I only had 3 years, I'm in here with people that got life and shit. Our specific dorm was celled, but you had other dorms that are open bay, where it's just a bunch of bunk beds and shit. Like there's no, you know what I mean? It's just bunk beds everywhere. Those dorms smell like ass because of the shit that's going on in there. Like it's fucking disgusting. But it's common in the prison system.
Did any of those guys ever try you?
Fuck no.
No.
Nah, I mean, well, you got to think, I'm white, which is who they would typically go for.
Yeah.
But everybody knew I was affiliated. So it's like, that's not gonna.
Okay, so you get transferred to the adult prison. And then how much time did you spend there before you got out?
I think it was maybe like a year.
Okay. So then you got out in, was it 2015?
Yeah.
All right. And you get your high school diploma before they let you out, right?
Yeah.
So now you come out, age 21, high school diploma, and multiple felonies on your record.
4 felonies.
4 felonies. So now you have what I like to call forever punishment, meaning that with a felony, trying to apply for a job is difficult. Trying to get an apartment is difficult because they could legally ask if you have a felony and you have to say yes. And then they could actually discriminate against you legally.
Yeah.
To say, we don't want you living here. We don't want you working here. So how hard of an adjustment was it? Because you went back to Massachusetts, right?
Yeah, I went back to Boston. It was tough. So when I got out, I couldn't get into a reentry program because I wasn't convicted in Mass. So I had to go the drug route. So I lied and said that I was a fucking drug addict. Like, oh, I just got out of prison, but I fuck with pills, And they put me into this program. So I lasted a couple months in the program, got into a sober house, bounced around in like 2 or 3 of those, and then got into an apartment. But as far as like trying to find a job and shit, I quickly realized there's no point telling the truth. It doesn't do anything for you. I try to be honest with people like, yeah, I fucked up. I did this, I did that. They would see the tattoos and then they would hear what the charges are and they were like, nah, we're good.
Okay.
So I ended up getting my first job at fucking Dunkin' Donuts and I got fired on my day off.
Okay. Did you have the face test at that point?
Yeah, I had the face test before I went to prison.
Before you went to prison?
Well, I had this one. I had the majority of my tattoos before I went to prison. The only thing I got in there was my hand, and when I got out, I got my forehead.
Okay, and the face tat on your cheek, what does that signify?
It means dreams, to keep your dreams in sight.
Okay. But once you get a face tat, you're now crossing over a line that is hard to come back from.
Well, my dumb ass, when I got this shit, I wanted to be a rapper. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make sure I can't get a job so I can only be a rapper.
So you did it on purpose.
Yeah, and then I quickly realized that shit ain't going to work out.
Yeah, Lil Uzi Vert did the same thing.
Oh, it worked out for him.
It worked out for him.
Yeah.
But there's also the guy that works at the Jack in the Box near my house who's got a big face tat that it didn't work out for him. So, I've always said, like, a face tat should cost $1 million.
Yeah.
If you got $1 million to buy a face tat, you're okay.
You know what's fucked up too is when I went to the spot to get it, I thought it was gonna be this big thing. The tattoo artist that I knew personally, he didn't want to do it. He's like, I don't want to do your face, whatever. There was another guy that was willing to do it, and I'm all nervous and like, damn, I'm gonna tap my face. That my aunt doesn't know I'm doing this shit. I sat down for 2 seconds. It was just bzz, bzz, done. Like, that was it. Like, yeah, that's it. And forever changed my fucking life.
Yeah.
2 seconds.
Okay, so you get out. You find work at Dunkin' Donuts, you get fired, and then at age 22, you get arrested again. This was 2016.
Yeah.
This was assault with a firearm?
Armed assault with intent to rob and dangerous assault by means of a firearm.
What happened?
They said I was chasing somebody with a gun.
Were you?
Trying to take their shit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why
I
are
mean,
you,
I'm gonna be honest with you. This is what happened, right? Is I fucking had a girlfriend, couldn't afford anything, couldn't do anything. And I got real tired of not being able to find a job, going places. I was really trying. I was really making an attempt to try. I went and got glasses so I look friendlier, all type of shit. I got these fucking Ray-Bans thinking this is gonna work. Nobody wanted to hire me, so I was like, all right, fuck it. The prison mentality kind of came back. I'm seeing people with chains. I'm seeing people with this and that. And I was like, I bet you I can take that shit. And you know what I mean? So I started doing what I was doing. And there was a situation where somebody was over where I was at, jewelry, whole Gucci outfit, all this shit. So I tried to get all that shit. He ended up pulling out fucking like mace or pepper spray.
Oh, and he sprayed you.
No, he didn't.
Oh, he did.
But the point of what I'm doing is not to fucking boom you, it's to get what you have. So I went back into my spot and put the shit away, completely changed my outfit. I was like, I'm gonna just beat him out of his shit, because I've been sprayed before in the county. It doesn't really do nothing. Or in prison. And when I went back out there, because they said that there was like a dating app that was involved in the situation, that he was communicating with somebody on a dating app. And that's more or less how he got brought out there. So when I went back out there, he had already called the police. I didn't know. But he was still outside in the back of these buildings. So I go out there, I see him, he starts running, I start chasing him. And then 2 BPD squad cars pull up, take guns out, and fucking I get booked.
Okay, so now you get arrested with 4 felonies involving guns already on your record.
Yeah.
So what happens then?
So I get booked, I get a $500 bail. When I went in front of the judge for the first time, the cell phone number was wrong from the dating app to compare to my phone number. There was 2 descriptions. So there was the description of the first outfit I had on and then the second, but they didn't know how I did that. So that kind of also fucked them up. So the judge is like, $500 bail. I get out on bail. I go in front of a judge, fast forward a little bit. And he's like, you got out of prison in July of 2015. You caught this case exactly 1 year later in July 2016. You've yet again caught another firearm charge, a violent offense. You need to go back to prison. And I'm like, what the fuck? Because the prosecutors came up with a deal. They were like, look, you sign off, we're going to give you 2.5 years probation with a 2.5 year suspended sentence. If you fuck up, you got to do the whole 2.5. I'm like, yeah, I'm with it. They tell the judge denies it.
All right, well, it's up to the judge to accept a plea deal, right? He has to sign off on it.
And he specifically wanted me to go to prison.
Okay, so did you go to prison?
No, I thought I was fucked. So the next court date, the prosecutors were still fighting for the deal because I had superior court charges. This got handled in district court. I was supposed to get indicted to Superior. I'm thinking I can beat this shit because all the fucking the cameras in the back of the building, none of them worked. They never recovered a firearm. They never recovered the outfit that I was originally wearing. None of that shit. But my girl was pregnant at the time. So I'd rather cop out knowing I did it than risk it and get fucked over. So he ended up taking the deal. So I got 2.5 years probation, 2.5 years suspended sentence, and they put me in a program within the courthouse where you gotta like work or volunteer a certain number of hours and you can get the probation knocked off.
So you got lucky.
I got real lucky.
Yeah, because you should have went back to prison.
And if I was in the state of Florida and attempted to rob somebody with a firearm, we have the PRR law, the Prison Release Reoffenders Act. If you commit a certain offense, they double it, like that's the enhancement, and they make it mandatory. Armed robbery is a punishable by life offense. I would have had a mandatory life sentence had I committed that crime in the state of Florida.
As opposed to Massachusetts.
As opposed to being in Mass is the only thing that saved me. I would have got smoked. And while I was in prison, I met kids that were doing this. They would go home, 3 months later, they come back. Yo, I got a mandatory life. What happened? Man, I took somebody's chain, bro. I did this, I did that. Stupid shit. But that's the shit we were doing in prison left and right because we don't get time in there. You stab somebody in Florida, you get 60 days in confinement for the stabbing, and then 60 days for the possession of a weapon. 120 days, you come back out in the same prison with the dude that you stabbed. So there's no, we get released and it's like, you just don't care. You don't take it that serious.
Okay, so you get probation, and was it 2019 that you start your YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Okay. Between that time, so you basically are on probation leading up to starting that channel.
Right.
What are you doing for money up to then?
I mean, I was trying to sell shit, and then I ended up walking them to a pizza place right up the street from my house. I had pills in my pocket and everything when I did the interview. They hired me. So I was working, I think, for $650 under the table, $650 an hour. I was getting fucked, but it was a job. And they told me that they're willing to, sign off on the little probation shit. So I'm like, fuck it. So I work at this place for a little bit. I get cool with the manager, and he's even giving me rides to probation because there's certain days I got to check in. So I'm checking in. He's bringing me back. I'm working. I'm not really making shit, but it is what it is. And then we got into one argument and I quit. I didn't like how he was talking. You know what I mean? And I ended up getting another job at a smoke shop. So this was like the best job I ever had. I had dunks, pizza, smoke shop. In here at the time in Massachusetts, recreational was legal and gifting was legal. So we used to have cartridges inside of the store. If you came in and you bought a vape pen for $40, we give you a free cartridge. So my dumb ass, I stopped bringing my own cartridges. We didn't have anything in the system because I broke the sales record. Like I was in there killing it. They loved me as a fucking employee. And then everyone, because I don't know if you're familiar with South Boston, we're right next to the projects where Whitey grew up at. Whitey Bulger.
Yeah.
So we're by those projects and then we're by the other projects. So I got everybody coming in here. They're mad chill, asking me about the tattoos and shit. I'm telling them the stories. They're like, yo, you should get on a podcast. Everybody was telling me I should do Joe Rogan. That's what they were saying. I was like, yeah, that ain't gonna happen. But that's where I started telling all these stories that I eventually put on YouTube. And I ended up getting fired because I pretty much, like, the sales dropped after I took all the customers because I was selling all the cartridges. But before I ended up getting fired, the owner of the smoke shop came to court on my behalf. I ended up becoming a manager there. I'm working 44 hours. I'm training employees. I got another kid at the probation shit hired to the smoke shop at a different location. She spoke on my behalf. They terminated my probation. So.
Okay. So then 2019, you start your YouTube channel. End of sentence. Were you 1090 Jake at that point?
Yeah, on Instagram.
Okay, why that name?
I mean, I just fucking came up with an Instagram name. 1090 is like 1090 got a whole lot of shit, but 1090 is most known for set tripping. So when I was in prison, while we beefed with a lot of different gangs, I was beefing with different blood sets more than anything. So for me, the 1090 just made sense, and I just fucking making an Instagram name, put 1090 Jake.
Okay, so you start your channel, and at first it's just you talking about your jail experiences.
Yeah.
Right? And now the channel is at almost 1 million subs. Congratulations, by the way.
Appreciate it.
At what point did that transition to finding paperwork and footage and everything?
Well, the funny thing is, the first paperwork that I ever did or looked into was my own.
Okay.
And it was because people were questioning the authenticity behind what I was talking about. So I broke down my case, why I got arrested. I did like a year in confinement, and there were people like, oh, you didn't do a year in confinement, you didn't. So I actually reached out to the prison and was able to get copies of all of my disciplinary reports, fighting, assault on inmate, possession of weapons, and it shows how many days in confinement that I actually did. So I was doing that just to more so validate my own stories. When I got tired of doing the prison shit, because eventually my stories are going to run out, I was bringing on people, doing interviews with people I was in prison with, beefing with, cool with. I saw that the genre was dying because so many people were doing the same thing. So I was like, what else can I get into? Let me start covering criminal cases. It would just be random crime. You know what I mean? Guy kills his family, and I go and Google the paperwork and cover that. And then eventually there was one video I did out of Palm Beach with these two teens that come to find out were rappers, and their most viewed song on YouTube had like 6,000 views. So they're not really known for shit, but I put rapper in the title on YouTube and the video went crazy. So that was like the light bulb in my head. What if I start looking into actual rappers' criminal cases? And it wasn't from the standpoint of who's snitching. It's just like, I'm getting the purest form of information. Instead of waiting for the news to report it, I'm finding out who got shot, how many shots there were, what caliber, where it hit them in the body. I'm getting the full fucking description and bringing forth a new, way of looking at things.
Okay, and what was the first actual rapper that you exposed in this way?
For snitching?
Yeah.
I think it was SpottemGottem.
SpottemGottem.
Yeah.
Shout out to my man Sean Cotton from Say Cheese. That's his artist, last I checked. And he's always been in a bunch of shit. It's like he's constantly getting arrested for something or caught up in something, a firearm charge, this, that. So what exactly did you find on him?
He told on somebody that he was cool with when he was younger. The police came to the house. They more or less asked him what was going on, and he was like, oh, I think they asked him who was the last one in the bathroom. They ended up finding 2 guns in the bathroom. And SpottemGottem told the police his friend had something that he assumed was a pole. That's what he said in the paperwork, which is obviously a gun. And he said that his friend was the last one in the bathroom. So his friend ended up getting picked up on gun charges.
Okay. How did you get this paperwork?
So Jacksonville is Duval County criminal clerk. You just go on there and type in a name. It brings up every single arrest. When you go into the arrests, brings up the dockets. The dockets have the arrest affidavit. It literally just tells you everything.
So you just went online, or you actually had to go to
online.
the office?
Everything's online.
So
yeah.
Online, you just looked it up.
Yeah, Florida has the sunshine laws where everything is fucking public.
Sunshine laws.
It was mad easy to get this shit. I didn't even have to leave, my apartment.
Okay, so you got the paperwork in your hand, and then you made a video about it?
Right. So I feel like, I don't think I was the first one to expose it, but I covered it. Mm-hmm. And when I covered it, it like rehashed it and blew it up again. And I had no idea the connection between SpottemGottem and Say Cheese. Because Say Cheese, they reached out and wanted to do an interview with me at the same time No Jumper did. But I already talked to No Jumper, so I was like, all right, I'm going to do them first. Then I'll do Say Cheese. After I dropped that video, that interview was shot. You know what I mean?
With Say Cheese.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I had no idea that there was a connection between the two.
Right.
So I kind of fucked that one up, but it is what it is.
Okay. When you put it out, did SpottemGottem reach out to you, or?
Nah, I don't think he said anything.
So he didn't deny it?
I don't think he could deny it. See, when I do videos, I like to do them as surgical as possible, to where there's really no fucking explanation you can give, because it's all the information's right there. And I never hid away from the fact, like, you can find this by doing this right here.
Right, because paperwork is sort of a funny thing in 2023. So, for example, Fat Joe got accused of snitching, and Cuban Link, who he had this long time beef with, posted the paperwork and everything else like that. And Fat Joe went on IG Live and said, this is all fake.
Yeah.
Yes, I know these people they're talking about, but this right here with my name associated with it is fake. And then I remember Cuban Link had to go back and say, yeah, actually, I'm not sure if it's real or not. So you could take a piece of paperwork and Photoshop my name on it.
No, yeah.
And now Vlad snitched on everybody, right?
Yeah, facts. I had somebody actually say that about a video that I did, and I had them on Instagram Live with me. And then when I turned the camera around, I had the clerk site put up. I was like, this is your name, right? Yeah. This is your birthday? Yeah. And this is where you snitched? Nah. So everything on this fucking paper is real, and the website's real, and everything's official. No, my mama's gonna sue. I didn't snitch. And then the interrogation dropped. And it's like, oh, you can't, there you are right there.
Right. So basically you back up your paperwork with the actual online files.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna tell anybody. I'm gonna even invite the rapper. Like, all right, well, I'm gonna show you how I found out you told. And we're just gonna do it like that. But so a lot of them avoid that now.
Okay. Well, who was the next rapper who caught it from you?
Shit, I don't know, bro. There's a list.
Okay,
there's a lot of them.
Real Boston Richey.
Yeah, I got him on my shirt right here. Yeah,
so
fuck your favorite rapper.
So that's Boston Richey in the interrogation room?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And at the time, Boston Richey was getting hot. He was on tour with Future.
I was listening to him.
He had multiple songs with Future that were like bubbling. People were looking at these two.
Dirk, everybody.
Yeah, like they were looking at Boston Richey as the next big rapper that Future was co-signing. Future is, one of the biggest rappers in the world, period. So how did that, so when you found, well, first, did you find the paperwork or the actual video footage?
No, it was the paperwork first.
Okay.
And he told me how to get it.
He said how to get it.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Explain Explain
somebody out of Kodak's camp said he was snitching. And I think there was like some screenshots that came out of some paperwork. I put it in my story. Y'all know I'm finna look into this. And Boston Richey DM'd me. Yeah, bro, this is how you can find it, you know, whatever. I got it, bet.
Why did he tell you how to find it?
I don't know, he fucked up. Maybe he wasn't thinking, or maybe he thought, because, you know, he was supposedly blood or whatever, that there was going to be some type of fucking, yeah, let me figure that out for you. But,
What was the situation about him cooperating in that particular case?
So his cousin got murdered. He gave an interview where the person who was convicted of the murder, he had a previous altercation with this person. And they were trying to use that to establish a motive behind the murder. So that was that case. Then I found a completely different case. And that's what kind of like sealed the deal. Because people had excuses for the first one until the interrogation dropped. But then there was a second case that I found. And I DM'd him back like, hey, you know, there's another one here. You know what I mean? And in that case, he was driving in a stolen car with two people. When they got eventually arrested, whatever, the police asked him, did they know that the car was stolen? If he said no, nothing would have happened. He said yes. They both got arrested for the, whatever it was, grand theft of a vehicle.
Okay, well, getting the paperwork is one thing, but how did you get the actual interrogation video footage?
I think that was through the DA, the prosecutors.
So you reached out to the prosecutor.
Yeah, sent
yourself.
them an email. I'm requesting the interview of whatever the fuck his name is.
Are they legally required to give that to you, or is it up to their discretion?
Florida, yeah.
In Florida.
Pursuant to the Sunshine Laws. And that wasn't even the first interrogation I found. I found one on a fake white Crip from Broward County. That was the first interrogation I found. I paid like $800 for that shit. And it went crazy.
Why'd you have to pay for it?
You usually have to pay for most of this.
Oh, really?
When it's coming to like, all right, the arrest affidavits are usually free, but if you want to get the entire case where it's giving you way more than just the affidavit, because someone's affidavit could look good and they snitch later on in the case. So you got to buy the whole case. You know what I mean? So in that sense, you'll have to pay, and the price varies by county.
Okay.
For the interrogation footage and that kid shit, I paid $800 for everything. And for Boston Richey, everything was free. The video was free.
I mean, when it comes to cooperating, sort of, you know, for some people it's black and white, for some people it's gray.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if someone kills your cousin, are you supposed to have loyalty to the killer or to your cousin? You know, especially if you guys were close. You know, if someone killed your mother, would you not cooperate? You see what I'm saying? It's like
a lot of people won't.
From certain lifestyles.
Exactly.
I can get it. So you yourself, is there ever a situation where you would cooperate?
I mean, if I'm fucking in a stupid situation, like that's the thing with cooperating and snitching, it's two different things. If you get pulled over and they say license and registration, you hand it to them, you just cooperated.
Right.
Right? Now, if I see a shooting and they're like, oh, who did he shoot at you? Or did you? No. You're not, because the whole thing is he had an affiliation and then he proclaims to be a street rapper.
Okay.
That doesn't coincide with you being in an interrogation video telling the police, you need to talk to this person. They saw everything that happened. Yeah. You need to talk to this person too. They saw everything. And then you go and try to tell DJ Academics that you gave fake names. But when you go on the dead cousin's Facebook, he's friends with every fake name that you gave.
Huh.
So
okay.
These aren't fake people.
For example, if you lived next door to Jeffrey Dahmer and you knew that he was eating kids in the apartment next door to yours, would you call the police and report him?
No, I'm going to answer this the same way China Mac did when you asked him.
You didn't see nothing?
Nah, I mean, I feel like in a situation like that, maybe you're going to be more obligated to get him popped, but I'm not going to.
So you would put your own safety at risk?
No, I'm moving. If I know he's eating kids, I'm not staying there.
You would just move?
I'm getting the fuck
And you would
out.
let these kids continue to get killed by the person next to you?
You put me in a tough situation, ain't it?
I mean, seriously. I mean, that's a real situation, though.
It is. I
mean,
and
then let's just say your little cousin.
Well, let's just say we're in the state of Florida.
Because you decided not to do anything.
Let's say we're in the state of Florida, where not only do you have the right to defend yourself, you can defend other people. If I see anything happening, I have the right to kill him legally.
Okay.
I just defended that kid.
If you see it actually happening.
Well, how else am I gonna?
You know what I mean? But if you
kids?
see him walking down the street and you shoot him in the head, you're charged with murder.
Yeah.
Now, you could try to unravel it later on and try to do whatever. But I feel like people say stuff like this, like, "Oh yeah, no, I would handle it myself." But how many people really take the law into their own hands? And you know what I'm saying? And potentially end up doing life in prison themselves, as opposed to just saying, "I'm just going to call 911 and let the police handle it."
Yeah.
You know, me personally, I would call the police.
I mean, maybe
you know what I'm saying. Like
maybe
if I saw some fuck
maybe I
shit
have
like
a
that
girlfriend that fucking calls the police. I'm not stopping her, but I'm not fucking. Hey, this is 1090 Jake. Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's gonna get used against you, and that's the crazy thing. But you know, the hypotheticals. Hopefully, I don't ever have to deal with Jeffrey Dahmer living next door.
Well, I remember what's his name. Cameron did a 60 Minutes interview, and he said he would move.
Yeah.
So there's a serial killer living next to you. Would you report the police? No, I would move. Which to me is like, I don't know. I don't really respect that. You know what I mean? Because you're moving and allowing a terrible situation to continue.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I feel like I would at least feel bad. Like if I found out more and more people were getting killed because I just wanted to move and I didn't want to get involved, I would feel some sort of responsibility.
Well, I mean, that's the same shit with rap, though. You got rappers that are out here bodying shit that everybody knows about.
What do you mean?
They're not saying nothing. You got rappers that's killing people. You got gang members that's killing people. You got serial killers that got chains on that be in the club throwing money, copping bottles, but nobody's, you know, they're just not eating kids. But they're doing shootings and kids can get popped in the shit.
I don't
killing.
personally know, and I'm being honest right now, I don't personally know any rappers that are actively killing people. You know what I'm saying? Now, I know people, you know, I mean, there's like the Gucci Mane situation where it was a self-defense. You got a home invasion. I mean, shit, I've had a home invasion happen to me, and I try to kill the guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I get that part, and I respect that part. But, you know, YNW Melly's has charges against him, you know what I mean? Which is, it's a hung jury. But outside of that, I don't personally know of anyone that's out there still doing crimes. Obviously, they wouldn't talk about it, but I've never even heard any rumors about it.
I feel like unless you tapped into the situation, you're not going to know until after they get booked. Like, look at the King Von situation.
Okay, fair enough. And so let's talk about the King Von situation for a second. You said that Traploor Ross needs like an award for his documentary. And this has come up, like me and Boosie have talked about it. Boosie said, you know,
Shout out to Boosie.
You know, he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
And he said that outside of his immediate circle, if that, people don't really know the situation like that.
I be looking at shit on YouTube like, bro, y'all totally wrong.
Right.
Like, y'all motherfuckers, you guessing. And only people know is those people who were
there. Yeah.
actually involved. Them the only people know.
Right.
You know, they got a few other people know. You get when it happen, like it be girlfriends know who house you went to after and shit.
Right.
But it be few people know.
Yeah.
If you not inside that clique totally, you don't know.
Yeah.
You're guessing. You're guessing.
Mm-hmm.
You can be round the corner. You can be down the street. When you pull up, you don't know.
I've heard stories as well, but you think that Traploor Ross documentary is actually valid?
Yeah.
You went through the whole thing and watched it?
I watched the entire thing, and then I put it on again because they took it down, so I wanted him to get his view back. Almost everything that he put together came directly from Vaughn. The tweets, the everything. And, you know, I said it to academics, it's disrespectful to say he wasn't a killer if that's everything that he proclaimed to be. That's part of his fucking legacy. It is what it is. Anybody can feel how they feel. And that's why I feel like it's stupid to entertain shit when people are like, oh, you know, he wasn't serious. And nah, people really died. That shit was really happening. And that's why he had all the fucking fans. If it came out that he never did nothing and it was all cap, a lot of people would feel some type of way. That's what drew a lot of people to it. But a lot of people don't want to admit that, yeah, I like that negative aspect. He was killing shit. He's really about his shit. When I listen to him, he's really doing, I'm not doing it, but he's really doing it. People don't want to admit that because you like a killer.
And then a whole bunch of jail footage came out after he passed.
Mm-hmm.
There was like the fights, everything else like that. There was that one footage where he said he was gay and wanted to go to PC. I personally don't think he was gay.
No.
Is that a normal thing to say you're gay to go to PC?
I mean, he did it in an extreme way. I don't know how their jail works. Like the one that I was in, you would have people come in. They would see if there's any motion in there. Is anybody gambling? Is anybody doing this? If you're in a dorm with a whole bunch of just bums and junkies and shit, you'll have someone walk up to the deputy, I'm in fear for my life. And they'll just get moved into a different dorm. There could be more money over there, more drugs over there. So that's a common thing for people to do, especially if they know, like, yeah, dude's not pussy. Like, he did that just to get out of that dorm.
Okay. And how do people get that footage, jail footage?
Same thing, request through the county.
Okay.
Yeah, just Cook County is one of the only jails where they wear body cameras.
Okay. Well, the little Jay footage came out. Well, allegedly. There was a guy that somewhat looked like Jay, had long dreads and everything else like that. There was like a guy sitting on his lap. He's saying it's not him. He's saying there's no tattoos, etc.
So this is how the dude requested it, right? You have to have his name, Jeff McGraw. Then you request his disciplinary reports. Every incident that came out on video was an incident that could be punished. A disciplinary.
Having someone sit on your lap is a disciplinary.
You can't do no gay shit. Yeah, you're not even supposed to touch each other.
Okay.
We played,
I don't know how it works.
If we played like with slap boxing, that's an issue. They got like gay disciplinary reports. I don't know what they're called. You know, like lewd and lascivious.
Well,
they have that type of shit.
Okay, but it's not illegal to be gay.
In jail.
Really?
You can't even masturbate. You're not allowed to do none of that shit.
Wait, so you can't legally have a boyfriend? Like, what if you go in gay and you meet someone that you like?
You can be gay. You can't do nothing with another person in there.
Really?
You're not allowed to touch them, kiss them, none of that shit.
Huh.
Now, the female COs, they'll let you, you know, they like that type of shit. They like what? It's like a fucking, like a little drama TV show for them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But nah, you're not allowed to do none of that.
Huh. I mean, I'm not gay, so it doesn't really matter to me, but I just assumed, hey, if you're gay and it's consensual with both people, what's the harm in that?
They're against anything. What's the harm in having porno mags in prison? That shit, you're not allowed to have that anymore. You can't have, you know what I mean? The SEALs
that's you know, that's material that's not allowed. You know what I mean?
It used to be. You beating your dick.
Yeah.
Then you take that away. Now they fucking each other.
Yeah.
Shit's fucked. I think it's better to have the magazines in here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're not allowed to do that shit. But that's how I know it's real, because he requested the videos from the disciplinary reports.
Okay. So you're saying that footage with Lil J is actually real?
Yeah.
He was sitting on his lap.
And then the punk came out and did an interview.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, I sat on his lap.
Yeah. Free him. He's coming home soon. All that shit. Shit's real.
Gosh, man.
Yeah.
Stay out of prison, kids. Stay out of prison. Yeah, man. I am so against rape and gay rape and stuff like that. Like, you know, we had an interview with the booty warrior, Fleece Johnson, which I canceled once I looked into his background and realized that all that rape shit was actually real.
Yeah, they were supposed to kill him wherever he was at.
Yeah, it's you know, I'm just not with that. You know what I'm saying? Because you would think, I mean, yeah, listen, everyone has a spectrum of their sexuality, but I'm sure a lot of these dudes that go to prison don't start out gay, and someone just ends up forcibly taking it from them. And then now you're forced to sort of deal with, okay, do I like it? Do I not like it? Am I going to keep going forward in this life? And now
you probably got fucked by somebody that's been in the chain gang for 30 plus years and got every disease. So now you're looked at as sick.
Yeah.
They're going to be getting in the line in the morning and taking them big ass pills. You see it. Like all of them take the same pill.
Okay. Well, Finesse2Tymes. What's the deal with that whole situation?
Some paperwork came out on Finesse from his co-defendant. He posted bits and pieces of it. I reposted it. I forget exactly what I said. I was like, dang, y'all going brazy. My DMs, da-da-da. And I never stamped it either way. I requested the paperwork. They told me it would take 6 months to get. I had to actually get somebody in Tennessee to do it, because in Tennessee, you have to be a state resident to request any paperwork. But yeah, that's just not fake.
Okay, so originally you didn't get the paperwork yourself. It was sent to you.
The co-defendant put it out there, and someone showed me, and then I got in contact with the co-defendant.
Okay, but you requested it, but you didn't actually get it back.
No, I never got it back. That's why I never did a video on it.
Okay, but you're saying that that's real paperwork.
Yeah, I mean, it's got every goddamn detail in it. The social security number, the address, the mother's name, the this, the that. The co-defendant's real. The case exists. I was able to see the case exists. I was able to get the case numbers. I just wasn't actually able to get all the paperwork within it. And then the guy who's involved in the case, he wants to sell it.
Okay, but you said you talked to Finesse2Tymes before this got released.
Yeah.
And what did he say?
So I got on the phone with him through another rapper, and I told him, you know, this dude's saying he's your co-defendant, says he's got paperwork on you, and says that you've paid him not to release it. What's your side of the story? And he was more or less like, you know, I don't want to say nothing because if he slip and falls, they're gonna say I did it, but my people gonna rock with me, right or wrong. So when I heard that last part, I was like, all right, you know, because the first part with the, you know, something happens to him, they're going to blame me. Everybody does that. You know, that's the main thing they try to say. Nothing ever happens to the person, though. But the people going to rock with you right or wrong, I kind of looked at that funny. And then, you know, behind the scenes, a lot of people don't know this. I don't know if I ever told anybody this, but this isn't the only case for him. There's another case.
Well, he just got arrested for an old case, right?
He got arrested for some old shit, but this comes from, this other case is a shootout in which he told on his own security guard. And there's paperwork behind that.
And you have the paperwork?
I don't have it. I've been requesting it from the prosecutors. Their office sucks. They don't even pick up the phone. But I've seen it all. Just the people that have it don't want to put it out there for whatever reason they have. But Boosie knows about this situation too.
Okay, well, he came forward and said that it's fake, and then his mom came forward and said that it's fake.
Yep.
Man, when your old mama starts speaking on your
Mom
behalf,
gets involved. That shit look crazy.
that looks pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Is it fake or is it not fake?
That's not fake.
You think it's real?
I mean, bro, if you talk to some of these people, they can't even speak in like real sentences. You think they got the intelligence to sit down and fucking fake these documents where everything is correct? The social security number, the previous address that he lived at when he was like 16, the mother's full. Because the mom's name that's on that piece of paper, there's like, whether it was her middle name or her last name, it didn't completely match. And I had to find the mom's mugshots to actually put two and two together. Like, oh, nah, that is the mom. So when you really look into it like that, I don't think it's fake, no.
Okay, 03 Greedo. I interviewed Greedo before he went to prison, and he had like a really long stretch. It was like 20 years or something originally.
Yeah, he got hit with some time.
Yeah, he got hit with a bunch of time. I may be wrong in the exact amount. I remember he was real stressed out during our interview. I remember we even had like a little moment where he got a little upset with some of my questions, but which is understandable because he was on his way to prison for a very long time. But, you know, we got it worked out. We had a good interview. Shout out to 03 Greedo. Shout out to his manager. I'm real cool with him. But he got out very early after just a few years. And what happened next in terms of your involvement?
Adam 22 got me in contact with his hood, with the Grapes. And they sent me his whole fucking case. Like the whole affidavit, all the pictures of the evidence, and you know, it's got some shit in there where it's saying that he was talking to the police. He gave an interview with the DEA. And when they were asking him about his co-defendant, he was like, oh yeah, I got paid to drive with him. I don't know what was going on, but it felt like something illegal was going on. And it looked crazy. And
it was a drug case, right?
Yeah, they got caught with like 4 pounds of meth and 2 guns.
Okay. Well, if he cooperated, why did he end up getting that much jail time?
He was a convicted felon already. His co-defendant had no record.
Okay.
So just because you snitch, this isn't the feds. This is a state case. So a lot of people are under the assumption that, oh, if you snitch, you get less time. No, you can snitch and get max punishment.
What's the point then?
People are stupid. You're supposed to keep your mouth shut.
Okay. But he gets out really early. Do you know
I think that more so had to do with the percentage of how much time you have to do in Texas.
Okay.
I don't think that was a direct result of like cooperation or anything like that.
Well, you know, once you said what you said, he came forward and said it was all fake.
Yeah.
Right?
That's usually what they do.
Okay. And did you guys ever speak directly in any way?
Nah, we never spoke. He went up on No Jumper and he did that. So I was kind of surprised by that, right? Because originally what it was is the Grapes wanted to do an interview with Adam 22. And Adam was like, I'm not going to do it until the paperwork is stamped. So then I got brought into the situation. I stamped the paperwork, and instead of them getting an interview, Greedo goes up there for an interview. So I was like, all right, well, maybe this was just something to fucking promote the interview or something like that. You know what I mean? Because I thought that they were going to go up and speak on their piece, but me and him never spoke. He didn't say nothing disrespectful in the interview. He said it was fake. He said he never gave an interview with the DEA. Mind you, all the paperwork I went over in the video came from them. So then I made the request myself to the county, and I got the full affidavit. And, you know, I got banned from LA by the Grapes right after that video. So I flew out right after and did an interview on No Jumper. And I brought the affidavit, the copy of it that I got from the county, and everything matched up.
Okay.
He's saying he's going to get the video. I requested the video. They said it doesn't exist anymore. I don't know if he's ever going to get that, but I don't know.
Okay, but he's basically denying it.
Yeah, he's denying it, and he's got a lot of people that are backing him on it. Like, oh, that doesn't count.
Why does it not count?
I don't know. They be making exceptions for people. What I heard was because it's not court paperwork, it's sheriff department paperwork, it doesn't count. But what doesn't make any fucking sense about that is every single one of those documents would be in the court case. It would just be photocopied and stamped with a court number. So whether you request it from the courts or the county, it's going to be the same fucking thing.
Okay. Kodak Black.
Yeah.
What happened between you two?
He shouted me out right after he did a video with fucking 6ix9ine.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like, what the fuck? Why would you, you could have shouted me out at any other time. But you did that shit, not for nothing. I'm Blood. You with the biggest rat that ratted on Bloods. And then on top of that, you were rocking with the Bloods when you were locked up. So how the fuck are you gonna do some backward shit like that when the ones that were backing you in federal prison were Bloods? It was just like, it was kind of like a slap in the face in a sense.
Okay, so he shouted you out.
Yeah,
and then the two of you started going back and forth, or?
He shouted me out. I did a video speaking on the situation, like how are you gonna make this move when you were in the feds? This is what it was. You're taking pictures with Bloods and this and that. Because what he is doesn't exist in the feds.
Which is what?
Zoe.
Okay.
Yeah, he's EMF. And
there's no Zoes in the feds?
Not like
well,
that.
Not in mass?
It's a Florida gang.
So it's state.
Yeah, it's a Florida thing. So you had Zopound back in the day, and now it's ZMF, Zo Mafia Family. And a lot of people don't even know that.
Yeah, that's the first time ever hearing that term.
Well, that's
like
how
BMF,
you find out who's who, because you got a lot of people, oh yeah, Zopound, like bro, Zopound is like 40 and 50-year-olds. If you throwing a Z up, you ZMF. That's one of the biggest gangs in the Florida Department of Corrections.
ZMF.
Bloods Kings and ZMF.
ZMF.
Okay. So with that situation, he shouted me out. I made a video. I asked him if he wanted to do an interview.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to talk to him about it face to face. Adam jumped in the mix and was actually middlemaning it and was trying to set it up. And Kodak was responding. I'm going to be in this area this day, da-da-da. So we were actually going to have the sit down. It would have been me, Kodak, and Adam 22. And then I think he went live watching my shit, watching the video that I made. He didn't like something I said, and he just started talking shit.
Wait, called you a snitch?
Yeah, he told me suck a baby dick, and he said that I'm snitching because I talked about his lyrics.
Okay.
So that was interesting.
Right. And you, were you the one that said that he was in PC when he was locked up?
I repeated it. I wasn't the one that found that out, though. It was a rapper, I think, from Baton Rouge, Main Music, Mac Main, something like that.
Main Music, yeah, I think I heard something like that. I think,
yeah, but Boosie, well, Boosie's the one that told me BG said Kodak was in PC.
Yeah, we talked about that in our interview. BG was locked up in the same prison as Kodak Black?
I think he was at one of the spots Kodak went to.
Okay. And he said he was in PC.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of assumed, though, with someone like Kodak Black? I mean,
nah,
in terms
you
of
go
how
on the
popular
yard.
he is.
Nah, you go in the yard. Anybody can go in the yard.
Right.
Yeah, you go in the yard.
But he was in PC.
You choose to be on PC.
Okay. Has he ever addressed that himself? Did he ever say he was in PC himself? Or?
I don't know. I know dude from Baton Rouge, you know, Main Music said he was on PC.
Okay.
But I mean, it went kind of, but ain't nobody really believe it. But BG say he was on PC.
Yeah.
Because him and Kodak are going back and forth.
And then after I did that video, I had a lot of people that hit me up that claimed to be in the federal prison. Kodak was at Big Sandy at the time. They were like, he never came out.
I mean, would you really expect him to do that, though? I mean,
Yeah.
someone as big as Kodak is such a target. You know, I mean, if I was Kodak Black, I was saying PC the whole time.
Yeah, but the target in what sense, though? Because if you got any type of motion on the street, you're going to be like a celebrity in the prison. You got money to make shit happen. Like $100 to get somebody took off a compound. You got millions. Anybody gets into it, yo, I'm going to put 1,000 on your books. He's leaving in a helicopter within 30 minutes.
So you're saying that they wouldn't get extorted, though? Knowing that they have millions, doesn't that mean in some people's minds, like, okay, I'm going to really take this dude for as much as I could possibly get, and I have these terrible things at my disposal in order to accomplish that? You know, you tell me I'm gonna someone gonna stick a broomstick up my ass. Y'all can have it all. Like, you know, I mean,
yeah,
I'm trying to avoid
that's
that
when
shit.
it comes down to how are you though as a person.
Yeah,
like because you could get extorted, celebrity or not. But
right, that's what I'm saying.
If you're willing to pick up a knife and do something to somebody, the first person that asks you on that type of time, you pop them. Everyone just seen what you just
Kodak
did.
Black is not going to stab someone.
No, and the thing,
you know what I'm saying? Because then now he has a whole set of new charges.
The thing that's interesting is the letter that he wrote when he was talking about the Bloods are rocking behind him. He was even describing in that letter not knowing if they had ulterior motives. Are they just trying to get shit out of me? Are they just trying to this and that, da. So whatever the situation is, generally, if you're in prison and you're affiliated with something, you're supposed to hit that compound.
Okay. Well, I mean, Boosie shouted you out in our interview.
Yeah,
he loves your work. You know, and in fact, in that interview is when I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do a 1090 Jake interview.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, I know we had talked about it previously, but it was like, okay, I think now is the right time. 1090 Jake said like 3 of the people in the XXL freshman issues are snitches and have paperwork. Right. You know what I'm saying? More and more. Like paperwork is popping out of the woodwork. It's just like crazy.
It's just bad, bro.
It's just crazy.
Appreciate 1090 Jake too, bro. Like,
yeah, you fuck with him?
Yeah, I fuck with him, bro. If it wasn't for him, bro, shit. And if he was a different color, it'd be all gravy.
Oh man, people more scared of him than me these days.
Hey, bro, like I'm grateful for 1090 Jake, bro. I smile every time.
We gotta get him on the show, man.
You gotta get 1090 Jake.
I'll put him on,
bro.
You just cemented that,
bro. Like
you just cemented it.
He one of the last ones I got left, bro. Shit.
And here you are.
That shit was crazy. I ain't gonna lie, Boosie's a legend in the South. So it's like when he said that, you know, because I started getting DMs like, yo, Boosie just shouted you out on Vlad. He just shouted you out. I was in Jersey at the time, and I'm in a car full of people. We're listening to the shit. I'm just like, damn. Like, bro, really just, you know? Because I'm fanned out. I've been listening to him since I was a fucking kid. And then after that shit, I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, fuck. Then played Boosie for the rest of the night. Driving around listening to him. But yeah, that shit was crazy.
Okay. Well, P from Quality Control Music. He recently had some paperwork come out, and he even commented on it.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically was like, oh, this 400 million got everyone in their feelings. You know, I don't give a fuck about some dude who killed my man, who was like a father of like a bunch of kids and so forth. And, you know, stick that fake paperwork up your ass or something to that extent.
Yeah.
Now, you know about this paperwork.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So I think it came out, like the first time I saw it was on Instagram. And I looked into it. And I was surprised by how easy it was to get it. So just going on the Fulton County criminal clerk site, case search, putting a name in, everything pops up. And there was a situation between him and a guy in a mall. He got confronted. I believe shots went off, whatever. And P has a written statement with his signature on the Fulton County website. Anybody can access it. It doesn't cost money to get to it. But nobody wants to talk about it because of, I guess, the 400 million.
Yeah, I mean, he responded to it. Here's his official statement. He said, I see that 300 million Got all of them hating ass dudes mad back home. Anybody know me, know my character. Our culture's so fucked up, it's sad. Y'all live in this imaginary street dream. I'm changing lives and changing my family curse. I got no love for no dude that try to kill me or mine. I ain't in the streets, never wanted to be. I played the hand I was dealt and made something out of it. Y'all bum-ass dudes should do the same. Stop glorifying dumb shit. R.I.P. to my dog Q, an innocent man with 5 kids who lost his life to a bum-ass dude who don't value his own life. I'm a goat. Don't ever confuse me with a rat. Now take that fraudulent incident report and stick it up y'all ass. I love my freedom, so stop playing with it. Was it a fraudulent report?
No.
It was real. You actually went and got it.
I could bring it up on your laptop in 30 seconds.
Okay.
It's just, no one gives a fuck when you're that rich, though, for one. For two, everyone's argument was, oh, he wasn't in the street. He wasn't in the street. But you ask anybody from Atlanta, and he's like a fucking boogeyman. So, the dude that he wrote that report against got killed right when he got out of prison. I actually tapped in with a family member of that guy.
The guy who got killed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody wants to talk publicly.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I met P before. I did the Migos' first interview. He was right there. I don't know anything about his background. I mean, I remember in the Little Baby documentary, he was saying how him and Baby were in the streets together and got into situations and so forth. So it does sound like he was involved in some shit. I don't know to what extent. But yeah, I mean, paperwork came out. He made a statement, and it was just business back to normal for him. I don't think it had any effect.
It doesn't. All I did was just confirm it. People were like, "Oh, is this real?" It took me 30 seconds to figure out. Yeah, it's real. Everything goes back to normal. But just a lot of people avoided speaking on that, which was interesting.
Well, I mean, he's not a rapper. He's an executive. He's connected to a lot of prominent rappers.
Yeah.
Lil Baby, who he manages, City Girls. I don't know if Migos are still signed
Not
to
sure.
QC.
SCY Jim, another rapper that I exposed.
Yeah, what happened with that?
He told in the not interrogation video, the body cam footage.
Okay.
And I almost didn't release it because he got shot literally like days before I was gonna drop it. So I didn't know if he was gonna make it. Because if he died, I wouldn't, I'm not trying to shit on the dead, but he survived, and then that dropped, and then he tried to say he gave a fake name. But when you Google the person's name that he gave, the nickname comes up right with it. So it's like, yeah, no, you didn't give a fake name. You told. It is what it is.
I mean, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who was a career criminal for a number of years that just never cooperated on any level whatsoever. I know it does happen, and, you could say you're one of them.
Dirk.
Dirk?
Dirk, flawless.
But wasn't that the whole story about, remember, he had a shooting charge with him and King Von.
Mm-hmm.
And after King Von died, they dropped the case on him, but they also said if King Von was alive, he would definitely be charged with this murder, or not a murder, a shooting.
This attempted murder, yeah.
And people started thinking, oh, is that because Dirk told on Von after he died?
From what I understand, because I know another YouTuber by the name of Seti Nash actually released the body cam footage from that incident. Mm-hmm. And then there was actual footage of the surveillance video. Someone took it with a cell phone, or it was on the body cam, whatever. From what I understand, they misidentified Dirk, and it changed into, Von was the one that did this, and they didn't have enough evidence to convict Dirk, but they would have pursued it with Von. I mean, knowing Von's history, fucking shooting everything, it's not that surprising to hear that he was the one that popped dude, but I never seen anything implying that Dirk gave or cooperated or did anything against King Von.
Yeah, I mean, listen, me and academics talked about it. Dirk feels the way he feels about rats because someone cooperated against his dad, and his dad was in prison for like 20 years, and he missed out on, an important part of his childhood, and he felt he would have turned out differently if his dad was around, to give him guidance and everything else like that. Right?
Dirk was one of the first people who explained, quote unquote, snitching in a way that it felt so personal that it didn't feel like somebody trying to cosplay or just say what they believe the streets. I felt when he was telling me that, I felt that it was his childhood, like almost crying out to say, like my father wasn't there. He literally says he had to grow up around women. Yeah. He said that took my father away from my life. Yeah. I could say it was all hurt. Him saying that was all hurt. And that made me realize, I'm like, shit, this is not just a guy who wants to seem like he's tough or street saying this. This is a guy who he feels this type of action has ripped apart his life. And he also continued a little further when he was like, it's like it was a reflection of, this is why I kind of am who I am. And this is kind of why I landed in certain circumstances, because my father wasn't there.
I mean, that's valid.
Yeah.
That's valid, because that comes with trauma.
But on the flip side, and me and academics talked about this, is like, well, you could feel that way, but you also, as an adult, have to say, well, his dad was also involved in some sort of criminal activity for someone to be able to tell on him.
Yeah.
Now, you could say, oh, he was doing nothing and this guy just ratted out the blue and whatever, but most times there's usually something that a person can snitch on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never worried about snitches because I don't do anything.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if someone snitched on me, it'd be like, for what?
Yeah, that was the thing with me, was accepting responsibility, not being mad at the person that snitched on me when I went to prison, but the fact that I gave him the ability to have something to snitch on. But I mean, at the same time, maybe he does hold something against his father, but he gonna speak on rats and feel. And Dirk DM me.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he told me, he said, yo, you a hero in the eyes of the trenches. So he fuck with what I'm doing, and obviously I salute how he handled himself. But Dirk standing on business with that rat shit.
Yeah, man, shout out to Dirk. You know, he said what he said about me because of a situation where we accidentally released a piece of footage about a baby that he was having with his girl. He had asked us to take it down, and my staff ended up dropping the ball, and it came out accidentally. But I understand why he feels that way. But, you know, I mean, I remember when I interviewed Freeway Ricky Ross, and he said something very interesting. He said that when he first got locked up, his plug was the one that snitched on him.
Yeah.
And this is someone who he made tens of millions of dollars with, and he was super close with and everything else like that. And I remember when he got to prison, he said he was mad. He was mad. How could this dude tell on me after everything we've gone through? And then after a certain amount of time, he came to the realization that snitching is just part of the criminal game. And you can't be mad at the person who snitches on you because it's going to happen regardless.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
It's very rare. Like, did you get snitched on at some point?
The case I went to prison for.
There you go.
Yeah.
Everyone I talked to that's been to prison for any real amount of time has had someone snitch on them. So at what point do you stop getting mad at the snitches and say, this is just part of the lifestyle that I'm in?
Yeah, it comes with it.
I am going to do crimes and people are going to tell on me. So unless I want to do everything completely solo and not involve another human being in it, I am going to assume that all these people around me, my fellow gang members, my best friends, my road dogs, whatever title you want to give these people, when faced with football numbers, they're probably going to turn on me. Yeah. And they're going to justify it. All the mafia guys that I interviewed that have told on people always had a great reason. Well, I was going to not tell, but then they threatened my family. So now I told on everybody.
Yeah.
You know, the Sammy the Bull interview. It's like, okay, not only did you tell on the person, like, was it John Gotti, who he felt was turning on him, but you told on a bunch of different bosses.
Mm-hmm.
And his answer was like, well, I was the only one that told that they had all types of charges against them. Like, everyone will justify
6ix9ine had his, he fucked my girl and
he fucked my girl. They threatened me, they whatever. But you're the one pushing the line.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to snitching, people need to just accept that if they don't want to be snitched on, just don't do any crimes. But if you do crimes, you'll probably get snitched on. I don't know anybody that I've interviewed that's never been snitched on.
That's just crazy.
Let that sink in. Well, there's videos out there through various smaller channels that are accusing you of being a snitch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at one right now on Omerta TV.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any validity to any of these?
No. We already broke all that. I mean, we could break it down again, but we broke that shit down already.
What were they trying to accuse you of exactly?
So when I exposed Boston Richey, he came back with an interview that I did with the Miami News. So I did an interview with them speaking on the current state of the Florida Department of Corrections. I was getting mad videos sent to me from different gangs from multiple different prisons of people overdosing, dying, this and that. And they were counting the overdose deaths as accidental deaths. So nobody actually knew who all was dying, this and that, how many people, whatever. So I went on the news and spoke on that. And they said that I was snitching because when he said, how are the drugs getting in? I said, the COs are bringing it in. So that right there, what I thought was a general statement, like, yeah, COs bring drugs in. I'm not saying, oh, dude's baby mother's coming in, pulling out a pussy. I thought that was as general as saying, yeah, inmates get stabbed. But he tried to take that and said, not only did I snitch on the COs, I got the prisons raided. I got people sent to confinement. I got COs arrested. So he put out this whole fucking, you know what I mean? Florida, like I said, everything is public. You go on the Florida Department of Corrections, they have every incident report of staff getting assaulted, staff getting fired, staff getting arrested. I was already out of prison 5 years when I gave this interview. People are like, oh, they probably went to all the prisons that you were at and flipped them and raided them because of... Ain't none of that happened.
Well, cooperating as a CO, is that considered snitching?
Well, this is what I love, right? So when I brought up, because Kodak Black said I was a snitch because I was breaking down the lyrics on whose bitch got taken by a snitch. I assumed it was Anwell because his bitch is in the video, but apparently he was talking about Jack Boy. He said that's snitching. So I said, okay, is it snitching when you were trying to bring up the COs that were beating you and torturing you inside of prison? Because you named them. That could actually result in some type of legal fucking issue.
Right.
Everyone said, well, nah, that ain't snitching. You can't snitch on the CO. You can't snitch on the police. But y'all try to say I told by saying COs are bringing drugs into a prison.
Yeah, I mean, I've asked this to Boosie, and Boosie said he wouldn't tell on the police or COs. To me, that's kind of crazy just because they're going to tell on you. You know what I'm saying? They're going to fully cooperate against you. That's their job.
You got COs that play both sides. You got some COs that's even gang members. But yeah, I feel like a lot of...
I understand that, but as a whole, in general,
yeah,
I think if a CO was charged with something and they had a chance to tell on someone to get out of it, I think 99.9% of the time they would cooperate.
Well, I thought Boosie sued over the CO or the cops that took his jewelry and shit.
Yeah.
Same shit, but you got to defend your fucking self somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, listen, Boosie's my man, but I don't agree with it. You know
yeah,
what I mean? I don't agree with everything
the
Boosie
main
says.
thing that I felt
that's
like,
a good point.
The main thing I felt like in that situation, I said it to somebody on Instagram because they make everything a race thing.
Yeah.
I said, if I was black, you would have said I was an activist. But because I'm white and I said COs are bringing drugs in, you're saying that's snitching.
I mean, Boosie even said in that interview, said that if you were a different color, people would be taking your words a different way.
Yeah. Yeah, but that wasn't the only allegation on snitching, though. Then they found an incident report where I told the police somebody shot a BB gun at my window and cracked the window, and I gave a fake description on 2 people that didn't exist. So they said that I snitched there because 2 people got arrested. And this kid who claimed to have been hired by Boston Richey was the one putting all this information out. Now, I remember the incident as I'm speaking to the kid who's trying to expose it because I'm the one that shot out my aunt's own window. So I shoot the shit out. She ends up calling the police when she gets home. Fake description. Yeah, wearing this. Yeah, wearing this. Ran that way. Nobody ever existed. Oh, nah, but the paper came out after saying that they got booked. Okay, well, a YouTuber called the Tampa Police Department and requested the same papers that dude exposed. They said it doesn't exist. So I put it on my YouTube. This is their number. Anyone call, request it. Find where 2 people got arrested. Everyone calling them. TPD probably got 1,000 fucking phone calls, if not more. It doesn't exist. So the kid, in this sense, from what I understand, what everyone questioned about him was he wasn't showing the digital copies you get emailed to you by the clerk. He was showing printouts, and he was saying he's been photocopying the paperwork. So more or less, everyone assumes he actually made a fake document of me saying I got 2 people arrested because no one else was able to ever request this shit. No one ever existed.
Slippery slope, man. Too much.
It's crazy.
Too much going on.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you said that 3 people on the 2023 freshman class list cooperated.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go down this list. Well, you got Finesse2Tymes.
Yeah.
So that's already been
That's
established.
one.
Lola Brooke, I'm assuming has nothing to do with
I
nothing.
don't even know who that is.
Right. Rob 49.
He's good. But someone actually tried to say that I said I had paperwork on him.
But you don't.
So me and him spoke. Nah, ain't nothing on him.
Friday.
I don't know who that is.
Glorilla.
Nah, she's good. She's valid.
Too Rare.
Nah.
Sleazy World Go.
That boy told.
So you're saying Sleazy World told.
Yeah.
What's that about?
I mean, that Ben got exposed. He just said it was fake. But when I got in contact, they have an interrogation video on him. They just told me it would take 12 to 14 months and it would cost like $1,000. I was like, yeah, I'm not waiting all that time.
Okay. So you're saying he cooperated.
Yeah, that paperwork ain't fake.
Okay. Central C.
No.
Real Boston Richey. We've established that.
That's all 3 right there.
Lil Tyler.
Nah, he good.
T.O. Corrine or
I don't know
Corinne.
who that is.
10-spot winner, DC the Don.
It's a sorry-ass list. I don't even know the majority of them.
Yeah. That's pretty much the whole list right
I like
there.
Lil Tyler. I like Rob 49, but
Yeah. Okay, so basically those are the 3 people you're talking about.
yeah.
I mean, one of them I didn't know about the Sleazy World Go. But
His
he's
paperwork-
saying it's fake.
Yeah, Ben said it's fake. It's really like old shit, but I think it's Michigan. They just it's a fucking year long just to get it. So I was like, I'm not.
Well, Lil Duval said something interesting. He said that in 2023, snitching doesn't hurt rappers. It's just free promo.
Yeah.
And when you look at Gunna, he's got his biggest project ever. And this was after he's on video saying that YSL is a gang. It's a criminal organization. And I've seen members do things in furtherance of the gang.
Right.
Some people say, well, that's not snitching because, his lawyer, me and his lawyer talked a lot. Steve Sadow, they basically said, he broke it down where he said, everything he says is not going to be used against any other YSL member. And if he's ever brought to court about these charges, he could plead the 5th because if he doesn't, he could potentially self-incriminate himself because there could be a federal superseding indictment. So he could plead the 5th over anything. And what he said didn't hurt anybody. He just did it to get out of prison.
Right.
Some people, Boosie considers it snitching. Other people don't. It's very kind of fuzzy one way or another. But I remember me and 600 Breezy sat here and the theory that we both came up with was, mostly him, was that in order for Gunna to get his career back, Young Thug needs to publicly come out and say he's good. He doesn't affect my case. Everyone go support him. Young Thug did not do that. Gunna has, a #1 song on the rap charts.
Yeah.
Fuck You Mean. The album is doing well. I don't know if he's touring or not, but his career is fine. So does snitching really hurt you in 2023?
No, it doesn't. That's why I don't feel bad about what I do. I got a lot of people that are like, oh, you're destroying the culture and you could get these people killed. And none of that. I ain't gonna lie though. I damn near shit myself the other day because they said 03 Greedo got killed. And somebody from No Jumper hit me up. They're like, yo, you heard about Greedo? I'm like, what? They said he just got killed. And I had just woke up. I'm like, fuck, they're gonna put this body on me. Because they're going to, oh, he snitched, and 10-J, he did it. And then it came out that it was fake news. I'm like,
He's still alive.
whew, all right, good. You know what I mean? Because they try to put another body on me. They try to, a Crip that Adam just interviewed just got killed. Mm. And they said it was over snitching shit, and some YouTuber were like, oh, yeah, and 1090 Jake and boosting. I've never spoke on dude, but because we put out people's paperwork or talk about snitches, they try to tie that into us. But I mean, bro, snitches ain't even getting killed. So I don't understand how I'm doing anything. Now, they say certain careers get affected because I guess the whole Boston Richey thing and Future's tour, because I think the next show that he actually had was in Boston, where I'm at. But I don't think it's really doing nothing.
Well, he got a record deal after all those allegations.
Yeah.
I believe he got signed to, I think, Epic or
He's
something
doing
like that.
perfectly fine. And this is the thing. I'm not on a campaign to kill people's career. I'm just showing y'all the facade of the image. It's like...
Yeah, well, I mean, Boosie even said, he said that most rappers, you know, will probably cooperate because they don't want to let go of their lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If they're charged with something which they may not necessarily even be involved in, how many people are going to say, I'm going to throw away these millions of dollars that I make every year and go sit in a cell because of a street code?
Well, Gunna's situation's fucked up too, because if Gunna told, everyone told.
Well, a lot of the people, I mean, most of the people, if not all the people that got out on bond in that YSL case had to do something similar to Gunna, from what I understand.
Pretty much the same damn thing.
Even Thug's brother.
Even he did it worse. He did it worse than Gunna, and I covered that in the video. You can't call him a rat and not call him a rat. You did it worse, and that's your brother.
Yeah.
The biggest difference is they got Gunna on video. That's what
video
hit the hottest.
Man.
Yeah,
that video is gonna haunt him.
It's because they got him on video.
Yeah.
But it's like, if he's a rat, they're all rats. It's just they took the same fucking thing.
It's messy, man. It's messy, and you know, listen, people always blame me for rappers getting arrested and stuff like that. We've never had any interview used in a court case that I'm familiar with.
And I've been defending you since day one. But yes, because mad people are, oh, what about Vlad? What about Vlad? I'm like, first off, you don't have to answer a question you don't like.
You don't have to answer a
Second
question.
off, if you answer it, because people were trying to talk about Casanova, talking about what he was doing to people in prison and then saying this in the interview.
Nothing to do with this case.
He's saying it because he's saying it, but you can't use the interview. You got the fucking choice to say it.
Like, honestly, that interview, you could look at his case file, honestly. You could, what he was being charged with had nothing to do with the old shit that he talked about. In fact, a Nick Cannon interview was involved in his case. We actually got the audio from LA, and we actually played it, where in a Nick Cannon interview, he said, I'm still ape. And the prosecutor's like, look, he said that he's still a gang member.
Yeah.
Because it's Nick Cannon interview. But no one's calling Nick Cannon the police.
Yeah, they fucking brought me into the YNW Melly case.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
Because the gang that Melly is repping is my shit.
Okay.
So it's like they're trying to say we're both in the same thing. And the undercover in that case that went viral for the mask.
People are saying it was me, by the way.
So his lawyer, Raven, she asked him, how could you infiltrate the gang and you're white? And he was like, well, one of the highest, most respected members of GKB is white. And then they brought me into it. And he tried to say, I'm the treasurer of GKB and I'm funding the gang with my YouTube channel. That's why I exposed his ass. You seen the video I did on him?
On YNW
The undercover.
Oh, the undercover. Yeah.
I got the pictures with the mask off and everything. I looked all into him.
GKB stands for what?
Gangsta Killer Blood.
Okay. In the undercover, was he actually infiltrating? No?
Fuck no.
It's
Everything, bro, everything he said was shit that he saw me talk about on No Jumper. GKB was involved with proving the Island Boys were fake bloods. No, that was me. I got on Instagram with them, like, yeah, y'all blood? Obviously not. Now they're doing fucking gay shit on OnlyFans. Like, it doesn't take a gang expert to see that they were never that to begin with. So I think he's really just a fan of like hip hop, and he just watches YouTube and tries to act like he's some fucking expert.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, no, people were saying that's Vlad. That's Vlad. And I was like,
crazy.
y'all owe me an apology when his real face comes out.
It's just nuts.
No, man, listen, I've had, in one case, we had an interview where we interviewed someone from prison, and the next day they asked me to take it down because there was some stuff they said in there. They said it could be used because they had an appeal coming up.
Right.
An appeal, actual, like a court, case appeal. I took it down. The Justice Department called me up a few months later, said they wanted the footage. I said no. And they're like, well, we're going to put you on the stand. It's like, all right, I'm lawyering up. I got a lawyer, paid like $10,000, and they weren't able to subpoena the footage. They couldn't get the sign off. That was the only time I've ever had anyone approach me. And I've always said publicly that I don't cooperate against my guests.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if I interview somebody, I'm going to fight on their behalf to keep them safe as far as I can. Now, if the video gets publicly released and it's out there, because it was sort of a gray area and it was going to set a precedent, I think, journalistically, because the video came out for a day, but then got taken down.
Right.
So they're like, well, we want the video that was taken down. And I said, no. And they're like, well, since it got released already, then we should have access to it. And we said, no, you don't. Because there was like someone had recorded it and it was like on some random Instagram page. They had little bits of it already, but they couldn't get the original copy from me.
Well, I got hit up by someone in Melly's team telling me that there's a possibility they might try to get me, like request me or whatever the fuck in the case, because they took the interview that I did with Track and brought it into the case. Because me and Track ended up sitting down for an interview because something came out that made it look like he fucking voluntarily gave over the cell phone that's being used against Melly, and then new paperwork came out clearing that. So we sat down and did an interview, but they told me, yeah, there's a possibility they could try to, and I was like, well, I hope y'all get me a lawyer because I'm finna contempt of court, not show up. They're gonna put me in Broward County and it's gonna be a fucked up situation.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I can't stop people from saying what they talk about, but I'm always very careful when talking about open cases.
Right.
If it's an open case, I'm not going to talk about it. You can look at my interview with the baby when he had the open murder case.
Right.
I said, we're not going to talk about it. I made a comment about how I felt about it, and I just kept it moving. He didn't say anything about it.
Well, you know what's crazy about that is I talk about open cases, and people have tried to use that against me. But the craziest thing is what people...
There's a difference between you talking about it yourself versus me interviewing someone about
because
the
they
actual
could give
open
information.
case.
So
Exactly.
this is the thing that's wild, is I'll read paperwork. This is what the police know. They know what's written in the paperwork. They wrote the paperwork. I'll read that, and someone will DM me like, man, you speaking on an open case, white boy, but you don't even know what you talk about. This is really who shot him. It wasn't even him. Homie, you telling me, so what do you want me to redo the video and give them the real fucking truth? Like, you don't even... Bro, why would I tell them what you know? I'm saying what the police already know. Oh, no, you right, bro. My bad, bro. I fuck with your videos. Like, come on.
People don't really understand how that shit works.
Crazy.
You know, and if I talk about people doing murders or serious crimes, you know, drug dealing, whatever, my interviews, these are people that have already done the time or they pled guilty. They took a plea deal. You know, like Sammy the Bull killed like 15 people. We talked about damn near all those murders, but he took a plea deal. So you could talk about it.
Yeah.
Freeway Ricky Ross was one of the biggest drug dealers in America. He got sentenced to life in prison. He managed to get out at one point by showing that it was a CCE and he couldn't be charged multiple times for the same thing. But like, if you do your jail time, you have earned the right with your life to talk about these things.
Right.
But people don't really understand that.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And if I interview somebody, like you could talk to anyone. Like me and Boosie are super close, right? But I don't talk to him about his case off camera. And on camera, I'm also very careful. And also, like, since he does have an open case, you know, when I did the interview with him last time, well, both times, I sent all the footage to his lawyers first, just to make sure if there's anything that's could potentially in any type of way be used against him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm always very, very careful. But look, if I interview you and then you go outside and shoot somebody, I can't be blamed for that. You know what I'm saying? But they'll be like, oh yeah, everyone interviews with Vlad goes to jail. Like, I can't stop you from doing crimes after you leave the studio.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when I interview you, you're wearing a wire. I'm wearing a wire. There's 3 cameras pointed at you.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that everything is being recorded. You see what I'm saying? At no point do I ever, you know, like use a hot mic on somebody. You know what I mean? It's like, if let's just say you walk outside to go talk to your friends and you still have your mic on, like I'll tell my guy to turn it off.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, everyone knows they're being recorded. So if you choose to say something that ultimately you get hemmed up in afterwards, and I don't know that as you're doing it, I can't do anything about it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But
these
because
are the same fucking people that go in a fucking homicide unit and say a whole bunch of shit to the police, and then I go, no, this ain't nothing in the interrogation ain't.
Right. I mean,
Same
listen,
shit.
I've been at the police and the feds and all that for 15 years.
Yeah.
At this point, I got nothing to do with law enforcement. I don't cooperate with law enforcement. You know, I'm not a street guy. I don't have a real criminal record. You know, I've had some bullshit arrests over suspended licenses here and there. You know what I mean? And done a couple of days in jail, but I don't co-sign any of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? But also, like I said, I try to protect people to the best of my ability,
Right.
and I try to make sure that no one gets hemmed up. But like when I interview, Hurricane Chris, who ends up beating a murder charge, he called me and said, "Hey, I want to come talk about it."
Yeah.
I just beat my murder case. I took the stand. You know, Travis Rudolph, who just beat a murder. You know what I mean? That's the Florida case.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Where the girlfriend sent her brothers to go shoot up his house and he ended up killing one of the guys. Yo, I went to court. I took the stand. I didn't do it. And now I get, now I want to talk about it now. You know, it's not snitching. It's I won the case and, I do want to talk about it. And ultimately, if people want to say that I'm a snitch or I'm the feds or whatever because of that, then they're welcome to it.
It is what it is. Yeah, I get all the fucking. It is a lot of these people don't even know what a plea deal is. Right. Oh, he's taking a plea snitching. Gunna took a plea. It's just like, you can't fucking fix stupid.
No, a plea deal means that you are saying you're guilty of the crime. Mm-hmm. You admit to the crime, and you get given either probation or a shorter prison sentence than if you had actually gone to trial and blown trial.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Were you surprised as to the number of years that Tory got?
I mean, yes and no. I thought there was a chance that maybe he beats it, but
there was a chance.
It's just, it is what it is. I don't think it's too bad for what he's accused of, but the fact that he has to do it in California State Prison, that's very unfortunate.
It's ugly.
Yeah, because they're very political, and you don't have the opportunity to be the celebrity in there. If you're a general population and it pops off, you're required to get involved. You have to pick up a knife. It's mandatory. So the situation he's in now, he has to basically forget about being a celebrity.
Right. Boosie said in Louisiana he would have gotten 50 years.
Probably. I mean, Florida got the 10-20 life. You pull a gun, that's 10. You pop it, that's 20. You hit somebody, it's life.
Shit.
So it's like, maybe he got off good. I don't know. I mean, the whole situation is fucking dumb, though. The fact that it even happened.
No, I agree. And, Tony Yayo has always said he has never in his life heard of someone who shot somebody and that person survived and is going to testify and still take it to trial. He said that was just insane.
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of lawyers about this, and the way they really broke it down to me was that they felt that Tory was just an out of control client. That you had someone that was not going to listen to the lawyers, that got gassed up by social media and his fans and got in his head that he didn't do nothing, that he's an innocent man, that, Kelsey shot her, but you have a damn jail phone call apologizing to her.
Yeah.
So you're apologizing to the shooter? Like you expect any reasonable person to believe that you're apologizing to the shooter?
Yeah.
For what? And you're not taking the stand because you're not a snitch and you don't want to tell on the girl who shot Megan, even though you've only known her for a month or whatever else?
I feel like if he could redo it, he would have went about it differently.
Well, he should have taken a plea deal.
Yeah.
I'm
Did
sure,
they ever offer anything?
There was. I talked to a couple people like Megan Cuniff, who was who reported on the case, who I interviewed. She said that there was definitely talks of a plea deal early on. And I talked to another lawyer who works LAPD heavily. He said the judge that Tory got was a very reasonable judge.
Damn.
Was, compared to some of the other judges in LA, was very reasonable. He said that he had a bunch of clients that did, assault on women and all the type of shit, and a lot of them got probation. He said that if he was Tory's lawyer, he would have gotten probation or like maybe a year in jail plus 5 years probation. But especially early on, because in the beginning, if you remember, Megan wasn't cooperating.
Yeah.
Like at that point,
that's when he should have made his
They
move.
could have swooped in.
Yeah.
Let's make a deal. Your star witness isn't cooperating. All this stuff isn't coming out on social media. They're not beefing with him. Megan's not mad at him at this point. You know what I'm saying?
He doesn't really have a criminal history, though, does he?
I don't think so.
Because I think that's what probably fucked him up. Because I know a lot of kids that have gone in front of a judge facing the same charges as me. armed burglary. Like, oh yeah, you're facing up to life, but it's your first felony offense. Probably get 3-4 years, maybe, whatever.
Yeah.
They take it to trial, get hit with fucking 20.
Exactly.
And they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that should have never gone to trial. That should have been a plea deal. And I've always called it, man. Like, I found out details about the case early on, and I'm like, if he takes a trial, he's going to prison.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way around this. The star witness is cooperating. The victim is cooperating. She's going to get on the stand, she's going to cry.
It's crazy.
You know? And, well, at this point, he's got 10 years. They're trying to file an appeal. But people don't understand how appeals aren't easy. You know what I mean? An appeal
Not only that,
means
but you're going to sit for a few years before it even makes
they have
the
to,
fucking...
in order to appeal, you have to basically say that there is a very serious flaw in the trial that would have flipped the trial had the judge done his job.
Yeah.
So then I think it's between 3 and 5 judges in the Supreme Court of the state have to review the case, and they have to vote, I think, in majority to say, yes, this was a trial that went wrong, and we're going to retry the trial, or we're going to just throw it out. The chances of it doing that, man, that's a long shot.
Yeah.
That's a long shot. So,
well, that's another move made by somebody that has no previous criminal history. Like,
right.
Oh, I'm appealing it. Or when I go to prison, I'm gonna be in the law library every day. And then they get there and they're like, nah, that ain't how this works.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tory being 5'3" or whatever he is, I think that
he's
really
5'3".
Let me see how tall he is.
God damn.
5'3". Yeah, if you look, there's a video of him. He does Sway an interview on Sway in the morning. He gets up off his chair and he's the same height.
God.
Coming off the chair.
So he like SpottemGottem.
He's a little guy, and I think he was just really scared to go to prison. He had been acting like a tough guy with his security all these years and pushing the line. Remember, he threatened Dax at one point. There was a video where he got into it with Travis Scott. And then, what's his name? Adams. In my last interview, he said how when he was interviewing Tory, a bunch of gang members had went outside and wanted to confront him. And he was with his security, but his security didn't have a gun. So his security asked Adam's security if he could just use his gun when he went outside to try to reason with these guys. And as this was happening, Tory starts arguing and saying, I want to hold the gun. Like, he's arguing with his actual security, saying he wants to hold the gun and he wants to go confront these dudes with him.
So he just wanted to be tough.
He just wants to be tough.
That's that short man complex.
Yeah. And to pull out a gun when there's women involved, just dumb. Like, honestly, because you take the gun out of that situation, none of this would happen.
Yeah.
It just would have been an argument. No one probably wouldn't even mention it.
Well, how tall is Meg? She probably would have beat the shit out of him.
Meg is like 5'8", 5'9" or something.
That's why he pulled out the gun.
Yeah, man. Well, look, 1090 Jake, appreciate you coming in. Congratulations on building your own lane. You know, you came in here into YouTube. People don't understand how hard a YouTube channel is to build up. You know, we have 5.5 million subscribers, but we've been doing this for 15 years.
Right.
Like every day for 15 years. 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So the fact that you were able to pull off 1 million subscribers in a few years is impressive, because it's very easy to stay at zero for years. Definitely. On YouTube, to be able to put out content, to have it different from other people's content, to be able to build up a fan base, and to run it as a business, you know, dealing with copyright issues, and, you know, YouTube could take you down anytime and everything else like that is commendable. And I always try to, you know, congratulate people that come up in this space, you know, sure, as an OG, you know, and
you were a legend in this space.
Well, I mean,
bro.
I was the first one to do it. I was the first hip hop person to have a consistent YouTube channel that's still around.
And
today.
a lot of people are following in your footsteps and becoming
millionaires.
Cool,
man. And I love that. And if you look at my history, the Adams, the academics, the Charlemagnes, these are all people that I found when they were coming up. And I opened my door to them and said, yo, listen, anything you want to do, you know, Sean Cotton, all these people were people that I brought onto my own platform, you know, Jason Lee from Hollywood Unlocked. They've come to my platform. If they ask me to come to their platform, I always do it. We talk, we share information, because I personally want everyone to do well. And I feel like we could all do well working together as opposed to beefing with each other.
Yeah.
You know, I've always thought it was stupid if you have a media outlet to be dissing me, because you could learn from me.
Right.
And I can learn from you. And there might be someone I interview that you might be interested in, and vice versa. There might be a business deal that I get into that I could, you know, forward your way, which I've done many times, both ways. So if we're beefing with each other, all that's off the table.
Yeah.
And all you have is a few extra views because you have a video dissing Vlad. Thought it was dumb, you know, but everyone's going to conduct their business the way they're going to conduct it. So 1090 Jake, man, I appreciate you coming in.
Appreciate you.
Peace.